All right, let's talk about a feeling that seems to be everywhere these days, that sense that we're living at the end of the world.
You know, this line from the 60s, it just nailed this really powerful anxiety. It's a feeling that has become super familiar here in the 21st century. That feeling, the one, that everything's kind of spinning out of control, like we're all just teetering on the edge of something.
And look, it's not just songs and movies pushing this idea. Modern science has given us some pretty stark, data-driven timelines. I mean, back in the 70s, a supercomputer at MIT, pretty famous, or maybe infamous is the better word, it actually crunched the numbers and gave us a deadline. And it said the first big signs of decline would show up, well, basically right now.
And man, the list of things to worry about today just keeps getting longer, right? We've got climate change, global pandemics, and then there's stuff that's completely out of our hands, like the universe just deciding to tear itself apart. It can all feel pretty overwhelming. But here's the thing. Is this feeling really new to our generation? Let's dig in and see.
So, yeah, these threats feel super modern, unique to us. But the feeling itself, that sense that the world is ending, turns out it's one of the oldest stories we've got. Let's peel back the layers and see just how far back this thing goes.
Okay, so this is the core question, right? Are we special? Is this feeling that we're on the eve of destruction unique to our time? Or is it just a pattern that keeps repeating? Well, history has some pretty clear answers for us.
I bet you've seen this quote or something like it floating around the internet. It's perfect, right? It seems to prove that for almost 5,000 years, people have been complaining that everything's falling apart and the end is nigh. It's like the ultimate, ancient, kids these days rant.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Modern scholars have looked into this, and it's a fake. The quote doesn't actually come from an ancient tablet. It seems to have first shown up around the early 1900s. But what's so revealing is that we want to believe it's real. The fact that we're so ready to accept it tells you a lot about how we see ourselves. We kind of need to feel like this anxiety has always been part of the human condition.
And look, even though that specific quote isn't real, the feeling behind it is 100% real. It has popped up again and again throughout history. You had widespread panic around the year 1000. You even had Sir Isaac Newton, one of the greatest scientific minds ever, doing the math based on the Bible. You had thousands of people in the 1840s so sure the world was ending, they just stopped working. And the very phrase we use, the end of civilization as we know it, that was born out of the shock and horror of World War I.
So how did people make sense of this feeling? It wasn't just some vague dread. For most of history, people had these really powerful frameworks to understand it all, built on things like divine prophecy and giant cosmic cycles.
In Christianity, for example, the Bible lays out a whole list of signs to look for. Wars, famines, earthquakes. This gave people a way to interpret the chaos around them. It wasn't just random bad luck. It was all part of a divine plan, heading towards a final conclusion.
And you see a similar idea, but with a different spin, in Hindu cosmology. The idea there is that history moves in these huge cycles, and our current age, it's often called the Kali Yuga. It's basically the bottom of the barrel, the darkest, most chaotic age before the whole universe gets a reboot and the cycle starts fresh. But here's the cool part. Even within that one single idea, you get two totally different ways of looking at it. One view says we're in a total nosedive, still heading for rock bottom. But another interpretation says, no, we've already hit bottom, and we're on the long, slow climb back up to a new golden age. It's amazing. The exact same framework can lead to total despair or a glimmer of hope.
Okay, but that's not the only story. There's another, completely different way to look at all this. One where humanity isn't just waiting for fate to happen, we're the ones actually causing the end of the world.
Think about it as a series of massive, world-breaking revolutions, each one happening faster than the last. Each one of these didn't just change the world, they completely ended the one that came before it. Someone from before the Industrial Revolution would see our world as pure magic. Heck, someone from before the Digital Revolution would be lost. And the world after this AI revolution, we probably can't even imagine it.
The writer H.G. Wells was absolutely brilliant at thinking about this stuff. In his vision of the future, a huge global disaster doesn't lead to the heavens opening up. It leads to humans building a new world order. In his mind, all the old ways of doing things, kings, congresses, banks, they were just obsolete, dead meat, ready to be cleared away.
And this is a totally different kind of end of the world, isn't it? It's not about some disaster falling from the sky. It's about a deliberate, engineered takedown of the old world.
intentionally getting rid of nations, religions, all of it, to build a new, supposedly more rational, modern state.
Okay, so we've got two big ideas on the table. The world ending because of divine fate, or the world ending because of human revolution. But what if there's a third option? What if the end of the world isn't some huge, one-time event in the future at all? What if it's smaller, more personal, and it's happening all the time? Take a look at politics. A huge shift like the one that happened in the American South didn't happen overnight. It wasn't just one election. It was a slow burn, decades of cultural and social values shifting under the surface, until the whole political world of that region was completely transformed. For the people who lived through that, their political reality, the one they grew up with, literally ended, and a new one took its place.
Or think about it on a really personal level. For every single person who's ever immigrated, their journey is a kind of personal apocalypse. For this guy, Edouard Bonpas, to leave France and land in Plymouth in the 1600s, I mean, that was it. His entire world was gone. The language, the food, the family, the landscape, all of it. Over. And yet, that ending was also the beginning of something completely new. A whole family line in a new world.
And that right there, that reframes this whole conversation. It really just comes down to your point of view. Is it a destructive ending, or is it the messy, sometimes scary, creation of something new? Really, an ending is just a beginning, if you look at it from a different angle.
You know, the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus absolutely nailed this idea thousands of years ago. He basically said that change isn't some big event we're all waiting for. Change is reality. It's a constant flow. In every single moment, the world is ending, and in that same instant, it's always beginning.
So, the next time you get that feeling, that eve of destruction feeling, when you look at all the huge changes happening around us, maybe the question to ask isn't, is the world ending? Maybe the better question is, what is it becoming?